Hello, everybody. Welcome once again to Counselor's Couch 101. I'm Jim Stump, and I want to thank all of you who gave such great suggestions on what kind of a gift to give to a neighbor who's been extremely helpful above and beyond the call of being a neighbor. One of the things I noticed is the idea is to express appreciation. Now, I think every gift is an expression of appreciation, but the idea I came away with is to focus on that. It's not so much what you give the person, is that you let them know that you appreciate what he did for you. That's what I took away from the suggestions, and I'm going to incorporate some of that. I'm looking into things right now that might do and might be of be appreciated by the man and not be overdone, right? I don't want to overstate it. I don't want to be too mushy, too gushy, or too clingy, or too needy, or any of that stuff. So I'm trying to find the right balance of all of that. But let him know that I appreciate all that he's done for me, right? By the way, he came over with a plate of food the other day. I mentioned this man loves to barbecue, right? He's always out in the patio barbecuing, and I can see him and hear the barbecue and everything right through the over the fence here. And he brought one over the other day. I thought that was extremely generous and greatly appreciated, just because to be included. And of course, the food was great. They had all sorts of different items in their buffet table, and he brought a bunch of it over to me. So I really appreciate that too. And I want to let him know I appreciate it more than just saying thank you to a neighbor, right? And the other thing came up when I was thinking about all this and, you know, going through these issues in my mind and looking for the right gift is the power of synergy, right? When we connect together, that is you and I, we start sharing ideas and we start growing exponentially because of the synergy. The ideas grow of themselves because they are being fed with new information. It's like the brain making new connections. Every time a new thought enters, it connects with all the information that was there before. That's synergy. And that's what happens here when we share ideas. And the same thing happens in counseling. It's like if I'm not going to connect with a client, it's going to happen early within the first four conversations, something like that. If I haven't connected by then, chances are excellent we're not going to go much further, and we're probably not going to do any significant work. We have to connect. It's a synergy. And the way to do that is, well, let me back up a sec. What happens is, if I don't know the person, I'm speaking from generalities. I'm speaking from my experience. I'm speaking from education. I'm speaking from all the conversations I had with other people, and that generally is accurate, but it's not specifically accurate to that person. And oftentimes, people will react to such suggestions or ideas as if I didn't get them, I didn't understand them, and I know that. I can feel that. I can hear it in their conversation and in their suggestions and what they talk about. So there's a synergy there too. When I get to know somebody, after I tell them, well, after I have you dialed in, we can talk whenever you want. You can call me a year from now, and we'll still be. I will, and you and I will be able to converse on whatever issue is relevant to you that time, because I know who you are, and I remember the people I talk to, the people I care about. I remember their situations and their emotional landscape and so forth. And so there's the synergy that works in counseling, and it is very beneficial when you can get it up and running for the client's sake, right? That synergy. So I was thinking of all that stuff too. And if you want to help people in your life, look for that connection first. That's the absolute first thing. Look to understand them. Look to appreciate what they're going through and their trials and tribulations and what concerns them and what is of troubling them at the moment. Look to understand it. They say walk a mile in their shoes. It's very true. Get them first, and then come up with your suggestions. And let them be just suggestions. I tell people all the time, I say, look, I'm going to throw up 1,000 ideas. If something works for you, take it, run with it. That's fine. The rest of it, just leave it alone. I'm not offended. I don't need all my suggestions to be extremely worthwhile to the person and appreciated by the person. Let's take the stuff that works, right? And let's go with that. Let's do something that's successful, something that actually helps, I guess I want to say. Something that progresses that person out of the state of unhappiness that they're in into a better place, a better perspective, a better view of life and what's going on with them. You can see I've got a light shine in my face. It's kind of annoying here today. Something else I wanted to mention, completely off the topic. I'm wondering, did any of you see that? I see and hear that story a couple of days ago from HOTG, Hot G, I call it. The story about the boy climbing into the confessional and hearing the words of a priest. Did anyone hear that story? I thought it was a great story, right? And it was just really well told, well presented, well done, etc., etc., etc. And as I looked at the comments, all the people, I got the impression a lot of people were concerned about the storyteller and all the things that he had gone through in his life and this, that, and the other thing. And they're expressing concern about that. And as I read those comments, I thought to myself, well, let's take another perspective here. Let's just back up just a little bit, right? First of all, the guy telling the story is a professional storyteller. He is a fiction writer. He knows how to do these things. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, this man applied a whole lot of technique to that particular presentation. First of all, he brought us all in with a hook that was misleading. He was talking about a priest and being touched inappropriately and like that, right? That drew us all in. At least I think it would draw a lot of people in because of the thoughts in our mind, what we think was going on. It's what comedians used to call misdirection. You lead them one way and then snap them back another. He did that very well. Brought us all in and then told us this story that is really, in some respects, it's horrifying, right? In other respects, it's kind of like coming of age. Did those events really happen? Or were they just a product of fiction, a product of his imagination for us to entertain us, his audience? I sort of wonder. I wonder, did he make it up? Or was he reporting history? Was he reporting his history, his facts, his experience as a young person? And I hope I'm not offending him. I really don't, because a lot of people express their concern for what happened to him emotionally and etc., and how it might have affected him throughout his life, and how it might have affected his view of ministers and philosophies and religions and so forth, if it might have done any of that. And they were worried about him emotionally. And I'm thinking to myself, well, if it really happened, maybe that is something to be concerned about and discussed, and maybe expunged from a negative memory bank, right? But what if he was just telling us another great story? Wouldn't that have been a hoot? You stop and look at it. I don't know. I hope he's not offended by it. And if he happens to see this, maybe he'll comment on it and say whether or not it was actually a story, a real story, a historical fact, or whether or not, well, maybe he doesn't have to admit that it's not a historical fact, but just not confirm that it was historical. That might be enough, because there are legal issues involved in all of that, and you wonder what might have or should be done now at this point because of those things. Like you said, maybe the people involved are no longer with us. Maybe they're still out there doing what they do, right? And if they're still out there doing what they do, that could be something to be concerned about and concerned now. But if he's telling a great story, then I have to admit it was just a great one. It was really a great one. And that's the reason a lot of us come to that particular channel, is to hear those great stories. But again, it's about synergy. This man experienced his entire life, and he brings the essence of it to his storytelling, and he offers it, shares it with us, and we grow from listening and absorbing those kind of ideas and those experiences that we did not have to live ourselves. So that, again, is another synergy, taking in the information and growing intellectually and emotionally from stories rather than from our own personal experience. Something to think about, folks. Synergy for the holidays. Lend a listening ear to people who need a listening ear. I know that you don't want to dedicate your entire lives to needy folks who really don't give anything in return. I understand that. But sometimes there are needy folks. And most often, the ones who need the most are the ones who will never ask, right? I was talking about caregivers before, and it connects with that too. At root, the true caregivers who give up everything of themselves and give it away to everyone else are people who don't believe they deserve anything. And that's why they do their caregiving. The rest of us do it because we think we should, and it makes us feel good, and we like to share and help people. But some people have a compulsion to do it, um, all the way up into and exceeding their own harm. Those are the people I was thinking about and concerned about. Once again, synergy. If you see folks like that, if you have some time, listen to them. That's what they basically need, is someone to hear them and to feel their pain more or less, and to empathize with them. That's a synergy as well, right? And it goes a long way. A lot of times these folks, they tell me, why doesn't anyone ever ask me what I need, right? That's at the root of it. No one ever asks them what they need. And that's how they grew up, no one caring about their needs or looking into what those needs might be. Didn't bother in the least. And they compensated by giving to other people in order to have a place in that particular community, in that particular group, whether it be a family or anything else. So, synergy. You want to do something wonderful for people, express appreciation. And I think you've given me a lot of good ideas on how I can express my appreciation to my neighbor. I'm going to find something that I'm looking for now that expresses just that. It says thank you, not so much as here's something you can use and love and honor and keep forever and all that. It's not like that. It's just I want you to know how I feel now, and I appreciate everything you've done for me. That sort of synergy. If you can give that to other folks, we should all have a really wonderful Christmas. Besides, the more we do that, the better we feel, the happier we are, because we've connected with somebody on a soul level. And I kind of think that's what life really should be all about, right? Synergy. So, Hot G, what do you think? Was it for real, or was it just a master storyteller practicing his craft? Just wondering. And I hope I didn't take him off. Anyway, I wish you all a very merry, happy holidays, and I thank you all for your suggestions. I will look forward to talking with you in the future. So thanks for dropping by. Talk with you later.